And we are back with BJW running Rosenkreuzstilette, Freudenstachel, any percent, Freudia. So whenever you're ready, feel free to count us down.
All right. Logitech F310. Check that out. All right.
Where's the sponsorship?
That's for the fans. All right. I am ready. So 3, 2, 1, go. And I'm going to try not to die for these first jumps. I'll let Crimmy take it from here for now.
All right, so this is RKSF. I'm not even going to bother trying to pronounce it. You can figure it out yourselves. But as you can probably tell immediately, it's anime and Mega Man, some 8 bosses to deal with before we move on to some castle stages. One thing you might notice immediately is that his basic weapon is not an infinite ammo buster, but it is this icicle machine gun, which has a weapon energy bar on the left. He will not be unable to fire if he runs out of weapon energy on this, but if he did run out of weapon energy, which is very difficult because it has a lot of weapon energy, but if he did, then he would just be limited to a...
Logitech F310.
The greatest controller ever made for PC gaming. If he did run out of the weapon energy on his icicle machine gun, then it would just be a single shot weapon that would be, it would have a much more limited fire rate. So coming up here will be one of the first tricks in the run, which is there's this crusher, which he can skip a cycle here if he shot the correct amount of blocks that he needs for this, and then if he slides through, yep, there you go. All right, so he just barely manages to slip into there.
That's super tight.
Yeah.
All right, the first boss is coming up. So bosses in this game typically have 2 phases. They go into their second phase once you take off half their health, which is referred to as desperation mode. So Luc's first phase, she's just gonna jump around. This is a completely static fight. And I'm just gonna, for the first half, I'm just gonna kind of dance around her, or behind her, I guess.
I don't know who this Luce person is. This is the metal hero Bluste.
Now the second part is completely random with these platforms. So I'm just hoping they spawn directly below me and allow me to constantly hit Luce.
Yeah, he has to pray for a good pattern and also be able to react for a good pattern. And this seems pretty alright.
That was pretty good luck, yeah. But yeah, as Crimmy was mentioning earlier, the Buster is rapid fire. You can use it while sliding, which makes it extremely powerful and useful.
Very.
And yeah, even if I run out of energy, I can still use it technically. I just lose the rapid fire component.
Okay, so he got his first weapon, and also he got a very useful utility, which is the Strudelsvogel, which is basically a rush jet, which obviously has the ability to fly, but shortly into this stage you'll see there's a trick here where he'll be riding the jet, but as he gets off of it, he will slide off of the jet onto flat ground, and by doing so he has this very fast slide because the game combined the speed of the jet and the speed of his slide at the same time. So basically, anytime you see the jet, often, if it's at all possible, he will try to dismount on flat ground and try to slide out of it to gain that extra speed. Okay, here there's a...
Yeah, right here I'm doing some very careful movement to kind of bug out the camera, get myself ahead of it, and by doing so I can clip into the wall there, the ceiling technically, and zip across, skipping a fair amount of the stage.
Yeah, so that waterway passage there would have winded around a bit, and it costs, I won't estimate, I don't actually know how long it saves, but it's a fair amount of time.
It's pretty big.
Okay, so the thing you mentioned before about desperation mode comes into you know the desperation mode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So he mentioned before that every boss has 2 phases, one before and after they've hit half HP, and so he kind of delayed that hit there to manipulate the boss's HP and when her desperation mode activates, because it would make her pattern more convenient. So coming up here, we have Schwermut's stage, and she is just a massive troll. Her stage in this game and in the other game in the series they're both just designed to mess with you. So
Yeah,
you
this
start,
is like a trap-laden stage.
You enter the stage itself by falling into the floor. If you actually just keep going right, you just end up getting kicked out the stage select screen. And then he's gonna go through this secret shortcut over to the right, which has this energy tank, which also threatens to crush you. And then he's gonna go through this other secret, which goes under these Mega Man 2 fire dogs.
Shoutouts to Woodman.
Shoutouts to Woodman.
Our boy.
Way back in the day, we pioneered a completely different route that was designed around taking out those fire dogs faster with a different weapon. And then we learned about that shortcut, and so a different route is definitely faster.
Shoutouts to Shoe Percent.
Shoutouts to Shoe Percent.
Big fan. Alright, this is a scary fight for all the wrong reasons. If I kill her on the wrong frame as she's transitioning patterns, I can crash the game. So...
Okay, good.
Okay.
Yeah, what would happen is the game would crash if he took a little too long in the fight and he killed her on the same frame that she tries to exit through a pipe. And the game would just freak out and just die.
Yeah. And there's one more chance of that during the refights, so hopefully that doesn't happen. PC games, man. PC games.
I love PC gaming,
Yeah, same.
especially in marathon settings, where we have to work with hardware that we're not familiar with.
Yeah.
You didn't even do the best part of that room. He was supposed to slide under a bullet with one of those flowers, and then he ended up jumping, I guess, because he was holding down.
Ice Shield, by the way, is very finicky in this game. So each of those, like, ice things that rotate around you has, like, its own hitbox. So it's possible for a projectile to just, like, sneak its way through.
Hopefully he's gonna get this little minor zip here.
Nope.
No, he didn't. If you coil through those blocks as they spawn, you can get it to zip him horizontally over to the right. Not super important, but it looks really cool.
I may have used Jet too far to the left. Should be fine. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I don't want to run out of energy there.
Definitely would not want to have to do that without the jet and wait for the blocks while you're jumping across them. This is Bomber Girl.
And now she's dead.
Yeah. You know, if you paid attention to the Switch and Bomberman R, might notice that the Bomberman series is getting a little more anime.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. The things those characters say.
Yeah.
Black Bomber's so edgy, man.
He's also Broken Tier.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dolus' stage is going to have these platforms based on the platforms from Gutsman stage and Mega Man 1, and you're supposed to ride across them. In this first room, he's going to be jetting across them, and then coming up is going to be this vertical climb, but instead of using the platforms, he's going to be trying to do some coiled jet strategies here. All right, you got the first part.
Oh no, the bat.
Okay, well, maybe I shouldn't have said anything after he got the first part. All right, so that was what that was supposed to look like, eventually. But that's a really tricky part. It's definitely, I think, one of the parts he ends up practicing the most to make sure that he stays consistent on it.
Yeah, that vertical climb is extremely difficult to do properly in one go.
Then the rest of the stage is pretty straightforward. Well, the rest of the stage is pretty straightforward, but the boss is incredibly RNG. He can she'll come on and off the screen however she wants and can potentially lose a bunch of time just because she gives really bad patterns. So we'll see how the RNG gives him. Also, regarding the weapon, so the weapon that this is a grenade that he throws on the ground, and then it shoots an ice wave after it touches the ground. That ice wave deals more damage than the grenade itself. So,
All
all right,
best pattern.
best
It's a
pattern.
one cycle. Okay.
Everyone clap for RNG.
Big fan right here, RNG. So that boss is basically 2 consecutive coin tosses, and I just won both of them. That fight can go a lot worse. I guess that was like good pity luck for messing up the climb.
So again, here he'll be doing the thing again with using the jet to slide off of the jet and then gain additional speed.
Yeah.
Also in this room there is a secret hidden in the snow, which gives you a weapon which deals... I can't remember if it's 1 damage or no damage to every boss except for the boss that it heals.
I think it's like 1.
I think it's 0 damage except for 1 to the iris phases. I don't know. This was something I researched back when the game came out in 2012 and never particularly committed it to memory.
Basically, the weapon's useless.
Yeah.
It's beat from Mega Man 5.
It's beat from Mega Man 5,
But way
except
worse.
it's useless.
Yeah.
It's the stupider bird.
Alright, that's boss number 6 right there.
Yep.
When she died there, by the way, she wasn't naked. She's like a doll. So
Yeah. Before you start calling Twitch TOS on us or something.
There's guys already reporting the stream. It's too late.
Dang.
That jump is so tight.
Yeah, I tried to summon the jet there and jump off of it to save the time to grab the ladder, but missed the jump slightly.
Do you mind if I read off a quick donation?
Yeah.
So we have $5 from Shadax, and it says, Rosenkreuzstilette Freudenstachel is by far the most atmospheric anime Mega Man game to ever grace this series. Everything about this game fits really well together.
Malware bites! Malware bites! Go away, dude! It's Hag Spam's SGDQ run all over again, dude. So I just got a pop-up for Malware bites, which took away control from the game.
Have I mentioned that I love PC gaming in a marathon setting?
Shoutouts to Snowfats. This is his computer. Whoa.
Okay, so this part here, as you can probably tell from the dust clouds coming off the ground, there's wind that's making him move faster to the right than normal walking speed. And that makes it a little risky to try to go fast here because it gives you a little less of a window to jump off these platforms and makes it really easy to just fall off a platform and die.
Also, that was a pretty good donation comment. I liked it.
There's actually a little more if we want to hear the second half of it.
Okay.
It says, the music, the annoyingly hard platforming, and the ... whatever that is in the background, the BJW Zeppy. To put it simply, it's intense.
All right, thank you. Alright, this weapon, Freuden's Winger, it really sucks because if I take damage during it, the entire weapon cancels. And I only get 4 uses. And there goes 1 use. So, that was a good demonstration of how that weapon can kind of backstab you.
Yeah, at a glance it can look extremely powerful, and it is, but you have to make sure not to get hit by it or else you just end up wasting a lot of weapon energy because of it ending prematurely.
Definitely biggest in the boss rush where you have to use all of it. That drop is the worst.
Alright, so the weapon he just got from that previous boss is a time-slowing weapon, which will slow down time and then allow him to use a buster at the same time as the time slow is going. So he used that to skip one of the spike cycles. And shoutouts to Ghouls and Ghosts. Do you take any more hits for the rest of the stage?
Nope.
Okay. So that amount of HP isn't alarming at all?
Yeah. That should
Alright.
be fine.
Okay.
Unless I play bad.
How RNG is this coming fight?
Pretty RNG. It's mainly the first coin toss that matters here, so she can either dash to the right, or she can just jump up, basically. That's the wrong weapon. That's the wrong weapon, too. That's death. Alright. So that's what we call a train wreck.
That's what we call commentator probably shouldn't be calling out his low HP. It's okay. Now you can show what it's supposed to look like, right?
That's bad luck. We're
Okay,
seeing everything right now.
Okay, so the problem with the time slowing weapon is that the time slowing weapon causes her to fall really slowly, which means that if she chooses to jump in the air out of your reach, then she falls very slowly and wastes a lot of time. Alright, so the first 8 bosses were defeated, which gives us access to the Black Cross stages. This is... I don't want to say it's like Mega Man 3 or Mega Man 4 through 6 quite, because there's 4 additional stages, which I guess is like 4 through 6, but you choose whatever order you want to do them in, like Mega Man 3, but they're not based on previous stages, so they're not quite like Mega Man 3.
Yeah, it's kind of like Doc Robots, but with a twist, I guess. The important thing is I'm not going to get a weapon from any of these bosses, so order doesn't matter.
The order doesn't matter, and he just does them in the order that is most likely to cause him to reset his runs.
And in addition, weapon energy is not persistent across stages.
Which is very important, because in the final castle stages after this, the weapon energy will be persistent across the stages. But at this moment, he can use the weapons he wants and not worry about the weapon ammo.
One jump moth. It's pretty hard.
Yeah, so he froze that enemy there. It's supposed to teleport in and out, but he froze it to prevent it from doing so you can kill it and get it out of the way. Okay, so coming up here, there's going to be this crusher section, but it has an empty space on the right, and you can actually get up this...
Alright.
Alright, I guess we're not going that way.
Alright.
Yeah,
It's one swap too many.
There's a very difficult series of movements where you have to freeze bullets to turn them into platforms, and then you have to use a coil and a jet, and then jump up, and it's ridiculous. And that strategy has gone through multiple iterations.
It's gone like through 3 or 4 at this point.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit more.
There's another character in the game which plays more like Zero from the Mega Man X games, and she has the ability to wall climb. And she can actually just climb up the wall and not have to worry about it, but we don't have that luxury as Freudia.
Yeah, I missed the maze skip, but I'm just happy I didn't die. Dying to an attempt there is way worse. It's awful. You get sent back pretty far, and you have no energy, so...
Okay, hopefully he can get this room, which has these, he's trying to fly through it, but it has these blocks that are trying to block his way, and yeah, he got through it.
It's really easy dying there. hate this jet slide.
And then again, with the things moving vertically, blocking his way. But manages to catch onto the jet. So there are 3 main movement speeds in the game that you want to pay attention to. There's walking, there's riding the jet, and there's sliding, and in order of increasing movement. So riding the jet through all of that is faster than walking and jumping across it, which is why it's important to jet through it.
Interesting fight. But she's dead. Yeah, so jet movements, like the speed itself, is right at the halfway point between walking and sliding. So with that said, routing's kind of difficult to do. Like, anytime there's a bunch of jumps where you can, like, slide for small increments but you have to jump constantly, it's generally better to just fly over it and maintain constant, like, decently fast speed. That's not always true. It's really situational.
Okay, so he has his time slow weapon prepped here because in the upcoming room there will be this giant vent in the background and he'll jump and cause an earthquake. And when that happens, if you're standing on the ground, you'll get stunned for a moment. And the time slow sets it up so that he doesn't have to worry about avoiding the earthquake. It just happens at a time where he doesn't have to worry about it.
With jet, it's important to note, and this has already been seen multiple times in the run, but it can phase through certain objects. So those time bombs were one example.
And like the giant Met in the background that causes earthquakes, this boss also causes earthquakes, so you have to make sure to jump when she does so. This boss can be extremely difficult casually because she'll just stun you and then hit you with her hammer and then you lose a lot of HP and then you wonder why this video game is so hard.
Yeah, she basically destroys everyone on a first playthrough. Nice. That's a really hard jet slide. These, like, bookshelves drop inputs all the time. It's insane.
Yeah, the bookshelves, they rise and fall depending on how close you are to them. And I can imagine that causes some weird issues with collision detection on whether or not you're standing on them or not. Here there's a section with these timed platforms. I don't know why it exists because you just have Rush Jet to fly over it.
It's for Buster only.
It's for Pamela mode. And we're just gonna fly over this too. So the next boss coming up, shoutouts to Gemini Man, except so there's going to be 2 twins. The key is that the 2 twins are different. One of them will you have to hit a specific twin, and if you hit the wrong twin, you'll actually heal their HP. But it's a consistent fight. They'll always start off with that attack pattern, and then you just take the hits to set up the shots in the right positions.
Yeah, the order of twins is always the same. It's always going to be the left one who's weak, and the right one who heals. So the fight's always the same.
And with those 4 stages done, we're going to be moving on to the castle stages. Shoutouts to Eyebrows.
Alright, laser time, right?
Laser time, yeah. So this is one of the other stages that can really trip out people in casual runs. Although, once you really understand what's going on, it's not the worst thing in the world. So,
still many ways to die.
Still many ways to die, but not quite as many. Yeah, so you can see these lovely quick band lasers. Yes, they instant kill you if you hit them. There's a lot of them. This entire stage is just built around these lasers and ways that the environment interacts with them. So that previous room there, he used the time slow to delay time long enough that the lasers don't even fire, which makes you, it lets you, lets you move through that room more quickly because you don't have to dodge the lasers at all. But these upcoming rooms focus a lot more on the idea of having platforms, that block the quick band lasers and then moving through them at particular times. But as you might be able to tell, it's not a very long stage, so once you understand it, it's there's not a whole lot to actually get through. Alright, so this boss, shoutouts to Mega Man 3, the first time I played this, I started cycling through weapons like, alright, what's this boss's weakness? And then I looked at it and I go, wait a minute. And then I stop and I top spin it. And then it dies, because Mega Man 3.
Yes,
The final boss of Mega Man 3.
If I recall correctly, that weapon does 40 damage.
It does 40
even
damage
though he only
to
has
boss.
28 health.
Yes, so I mentioned before that when this game had initially came out, I researched the damage values of all of the weapons against bosses. And so when I did this, I gave bosses like 100 HP and then saw how much damage weapons did to them without killing them. And yeah, it did like 40 damage, because why not? There's no kill like overkill. So this stage here, there's this like red gel that you can swim through, but if the fire hits it, then the gel catches on fire, and I believe it's an instant kill?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you do not want to touch this red gel when it's on fire.
And here we have an invisible spike maze.
Yeah, not quite invisible. You can see the spikes if you are close enough to them, but since he knows where they are, he doesn't have to move particularly slowly through it.
I think that gimmick was in Mega Man 7 first.
I wouldn't recall which Mega Man game it might have appeared in, if at all. Also, you may have noticed for a moment that there was a ladder up there that appeared for a slight moment.
There's a frame perfect jump you can do there to save some time.
Yeah, so here we have the obligatory devil boss, and you can hit it 3 times per cycle, except for the first one. You can only hit it once on the first cycle. But in order to actually get the first hit, there are 2 ways you can get the first hit, which is you have to either slow time there, which he just did, or you can do a frame-perfect jump upon entering the boss room before the game takes away control and introduces the boss. That frame-perfect jump puts you in position close enough to hit the boss without slowing down time. And if you can do that without slowing down time, then you save...
It's like 4 seconds or so, 4.5.
Okay, yeah. So it's a pretty neat trick, but it's also pretty minor.
Yeah.
So with the third castle stage, we'll be going into the 8 boss refights after a short little section here.
Alright, I'm gonna be a responsible speedrunner here and pick up that life, because I think I'm on my last one.
Safe strategies in a marathon?
Yeah.
Run? Who
Believe
does
it
that?
or not.
This can look a little trippy if you're not used to looking at it. There's platforms that are denoted by those sparkles. Might be a little hard to see, might be a little disorienting, but he knows where they are, so it's not that bad.
Good good luck there. So if she gives me a high jump there, I actually have to take damage, which kind of sucks.
Oh, okay. I actually didn't realize there was RNG in that fight. I believe I had heard you in your streams say, like, good luck, bad luck, but I didn't really understand what it meant for that particular fight.
Yeah.
He's waiting a little bit at the teleporter there to charge up this weapon, so that the charged version of this weapon allows you to freeze everything on screen, which means that he doesn't have to run across the screen to hit her first. We're actually trying to pioneer some strategies to reduce the amount of time waiting for that charge, but they haven't been quite fleshed out yet. Hopefully we can find something that saves that little bit of charging time, because it does look pretty awkward.
Nice. Okay, that's a good Grollo fight.
Okay.
Which is great, because now I have energy for Machine 1.
Alright, again, this boss has the potential to crash the game if it goes badly.
It's not gonna happen, though.
No,
Good pattern.
BJW's epi.
Yeah.
Alright, are we gonna get the God
Two
Dolus
times in a
again?
row.
1 coin flip. 2 coin flips.
Oh! There it is.
Oh my god,
There it is.
The double God Dolus.
That is the 1 out of 16 right there. Good Zorn pattern, too. So that was good Libya, good Zorn, good Dolus, and good Grollo. That was pretty much perfect luck across the board. Schwer could have been better, but I'm not going to complain.
Alright, so refights and the first machine fights are done, but there's one more stage here with one more boss fight, or 2, depending on how you want to interpret it.
Yeah, so time will be coming up in about a minute or so.
Yeah. Time will not be quite on the final boss hit, but we'll explain that. We'll call out time when it comes up. There's an elevator there, but using the rush coil to just save a little bit of time over riding the elevator, actually. So here we are fighting the protagonist of the first RKS game. Exactly why, I don't know. I have never actually looked at the plot of this game. And then after depleting that life bar, alright, so we got a good pattern here. When the second phase starts, she can spawn high or low, and if she spawns high, then you can't actually hit her with the top spin.
Alright, time is coming up in about 10 seconds, so...
It'll be, once the...
Yeah, right as, like, the health disappears from the UI.
Yeah.
And...
Time.
$33. It's decent.
That might actually be a 33-33 depending on when that ticked over.
Yeah, that might be.
So this game uses game time, because the game timer isn't, it's not a frame counter, it's actually just the amount of time that the game has been running. But because of how we time with using a live timer, there's actually about 0.5, 0.6 seconds between when you hit game start and when the game actually starts running time.
Yeah.
So
It starts when you, like, gain control on the character select.
Yeah.
Or stage select menu.
yeah.
Yeah. So let's skip ahead, I guess, and see if it really is a 33-33.
0.33.
Could you imagine?
I could imagine.
It's 0. All right. So
What a god!
I guess I'm submitting this to the leaderboard. All right. Got the world record right there. In record pace. Blistering speed. I don't know why that happened. It might be due to like permissions set on the computer. I'm not sure.
I love speedruns and marathons.
Yeah,
PC speedruns and marathon settings.
All right.
Well, congrats on marathon world record.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, BJW, for that for that in-game time world record. You saw it here first, folks. Calathon 2017. So yeah, we will be doing another setup block and getting ready for the next run, which is Frogger's Adventures: Temple of the Frog by Winterbit. So stick around.